Hello angels, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're still doing Vlogmas, Vlogmas day 11. However, I've switched up the format for today because Sunday, which is when I would film what would have been today's video, we changed around because, or I changed around I should say, because I had like Saturday night, I literally got no sleep. I don't know what was going on, but I basically slept for an hour and a half. And I was so freaking tired. Like there was no reason for my like insomnia that night. It was what it was. So I didn't want to leave you guys without content, and I said I would do a getting ready with me video anyway, just so you guys could see what my newest routine is, because I have changed up a lot. Or not like a lot, but I've just changed the way I'm doing things. So I wanted to do that with you, and I'm going to show you like just a very, very simple I will also show you how you can transform it to more of a holiday look, or I'll talk to you about it at least anyway. And, or actually, you know what? Maybe I'll do a separate holiday look. Would you guys prefer that? I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to just do like an everyday makeup just to show you what I'm updating, and why I'm updating it. And then, if you guys want a separate holiday look for a party or for New Year's or something like that, then let's do it, you know, like let's get glam. The reason I wanted to do this video is because I've been changing up my makeup routine, and the reason for that is because my skin is maturing, as all of our skin tends to do through life. And I just noticed that some of the products I was using, just weren't making me as happy in terms of how it was sitting on my skin. Now, there was nothing wrong with the products themselves. I'm just super particular at how I like things to look. First off, because I want to make something more hydrating for the winter time, what I'm going to start off with is the Kat Von D Hydrating Primer. This is a water-based primer, but it is so lovely on the skin. So I am going to just use my fingers and blend that baby in to my skin. I should also preface that before I put primer on, I always put on an SPF. Don't neglect your skin, ladies, or it will turn out like this, like I did when I was a teen. The next product that I'm going to use is a new foundation. Well, not new, because it's been on the market forever, but newer to me again, and that is the L'Oreal True Match foundation. Now, what I love about this is that L'Oreal, they kill it with the foundation in this range, because they recognize the different undertones that everyone has in their skin. So on the top of the bottle, you will see that they're either labeled W, N, or C for warm, neutral, and cool. Now, I love it because most people have the warm and cool undertone nailed for makeup in terms of brands, but very few brands do the neutral undertone, and there are a lot of men and women out there that need foundations that are a neutral undertone. So if you are someone that feels like foundation either gets too yellow on you or too pink, I highly recommend checking this out. They are very reasonable price-wise. You can get them in Walmart, Shoppers if you're in Canada, Walgreens, like wherever, and then try them. Just when you try foundations on in stores, just because overhead lighting is always a bit different, fluorescent lighting especially is really harsh, just take some of it and blend it in on the side of your jawline, and you can put like a couple swatches of everything else. And if you kind of blend it in, it should look like it melts into your skin. If it doesn't, then you're either too dark, too light, or if you've tried a couple and it's still not, then you may just have the wrong undertone altogether. I am W2 because your girl's fair, and I'm just bordering on that point where I'm going to need to switch down to W1 because, I get really, really pasty in the winter. And I'm just going to put this or pat this in with a beauty blender. Yes, it's dirty. I should wash it. But I'm going to just pat it in to my skin. Sorry, my phone is like friggin' blowing up. I apologize if you guys can hear it in the background. We've been, just a side note for all of you that have been watching Vlogmas, we put an offer in on that house just to keep you guys updated. But the pricing for the house is completely out to lunch. Like completely out to lunch when we got comparables back for the area versus like what these people did on the house, because they had done some cosmetic renovations, but like not even close to enough to justify how far over the asking price mark they are. So Sean and I put in an offer, we lowballed it just to more of what it's actually worth in the area, especially because it's not even the nicest house in the area, and it still needs some work. So yeah, I don't know that the house is going to go through. If it doesn't, I mean, I'm going to be disappointed because I really like the house, but I'm not overpaying for something. So we might just end up continuing our search. But I just wanted to let you guys know that because a lot of you have been asking. Now, because I'm bordering on the two foundations, like I said, actually it might be even too dark for me. We'll see what happens when it's blended in. I might need to start stepping down to W1. But for that reason, I have been putting some of it on my neck, which normally I don't do. But I have been, just because I'm at that point where I think I need to switch colors. And just looking at the viewfinder, I don't know if it's how it'll translate on camera, but I think I actually might be at that point. But it's too late now, so we're gonna rock it. Okay, so once the foundation is on, I go back in with some concealer. Now, I have been using the Too Faced Born This Way concealer that you guys have heard me talk about and rave about recently. I am using currently the color Swan, which is their lightest color. Oh, so fair. So what I have been doing is putting it under my eyes, a little bit by my nose because I'll blend it in there. And then I've been putting it just over my sunspots here, or the pigment there. And we're just gonna blend it in again with the Beauty Blender. Now, I've also used the concealer as a primer on my eye, so I'm gonna use the corner of the Beauty Blender now. And I'm gonna get it in the corner and then bring it over top of the eyelid. Okay, so once the concealer's on, first thing I do is take some translucent powder. You can use whatever you want. And I just set on top of the eyelid just because I don't want it to crease, because we are going to put eyeshadow up there afterwards. And I also put a little bit of powder on top of the concealer, just more towards the inner corner. I'm not going to spread it too far. The next thing I've been changing up is bronzer. Normally I use a powder-based bronzer, but again, because I'm just finding or like noticing fine lines a little bit more, I've been using the Smashbox pencil based or contour stick. This is our contour stick in the color bronze. And what I've been doing is just carving out where I add bronzer on my face. So I kind of do it in this C shape on the top of the cheekbone. Up here, I'll add an extra couple marks just over the temple, like so. And the reason I do that is just obviously cream products don't settle into the skin or highlight fine lines the same way that powder-based products will, like they don't sit on top of the skin. So what I do is just take my Beauty Blender afterwards and I just press it into the skin just to blend it out. And I've really been enjoying the softer look it creates. I really like how it looks. Don't you guys feel like that looks so nice and natural? And then it's not more like powder products sitting on top of my skin. It's the powder products to me that can end up looking like really quite cakey. So I really love how this turns out. Like, it's just a wee bit more natural to me anyway. You guys may not even notice a difference or think I'm crazy, but to me it looks a little bit more natural. All right, once the bronzer's done, I move on to a cream blush as well, which is also, I think I've talked about it in past before, but it hasn't been my go-to recently. So I've been using the Stila Convertible Colors. This is their dual lip and cheek cream. I'm using it in the color Gerbera. And it's got a mirror on the bottom, but it's just this nice like creamy coral color, which is nice for my undertone. Again, I picked something that's warm based like my undertone. And what I'm going to do with this is I put a little bit on my ring finger, and a little bit of this goes a long way. So I take a little bit of product and I just like to press it into the apples of my cheeks. Again, just for a teeny bit of color, which you guys will see. And then I start to press it back up into the bronzer just so it has more of that natural fade, if you will. The other thing that's new is I've also been using a cream base. This is the theme. Can you notice the theme? The cream or liquid highlighting product. I've been using the Cover FX Custom Enhancer Drops. These babies have been around forever. And they're not really like warm based, or at least the ones I have in my collection aren't warm based. Mine's kind of bronzy looking, but I do like it. This one is called, what is this called? Celestial. It's really, really pretty. It has like a bronzy, almost like pink reflect. And this is super pigmented. Like, I don't even need to take this out of the, like the dropper, because it comes with drops. I just press my finger into the side again with, like on the side of the dropper to get product out. And then what I'll do is you want to kind of highlight the natural areas of your face where light would hit naturally a little bit more. So the high points of your face. And I start by adding, like you can see how pigmented that is, right? And I will bring it up and kind of around the arc of my eyebrow, if you will. and then a little bit back as well. So if you're someone that doesn't like super blingy highlight, this might not be for you. You might want to find a little bit more of a subtle product to put on the cheek, but I really like that. Like, even though it is a stronger highlight, like I still find that fairly natural as long as you're aware of how much you're putting on. So I literally like just tap my finger against the dropper and it seemed to work, or works pretty for me. And once I do put a little bit of powder on to set all of this, I find it does dull down, the highlight quite a bit. Okay, so once I have that like cream-based product on, I will let it sit for a minute because depending on how dry my skin is, I don't always need to set my face. If you have oily skin, for sure you will need to set this with a powder on top, but my skin's normal to dry. So sometimes I can leave it, but we'll see how it goes. So what I'm going to do for eye makeup and what I have been using recently is the Modern Renaissance by Anastasia Beverly Hills. I have been doing a very, very simple eye during the day, guys. I have not been fussing with a lot of makeup in terms of my eye look recently. Now, if you are a hooded eye, and what that means for some of you that may not know, I don't have the, actually let me come a bit closer so you guys can see what I'm doing. Actually, hold on, I gotta adjust that lighting because you can't really see when I get too close. So when I get close up, you will see I don't have much eyelid space, like it's all under here, right? So when I look up into the camera or at someone else, most of my eyeshadow will be hidden underneath the extra skin or fold on my eyelid, if that makes sense. So you have to be a little bit more strategic as to how you put eyeshadow on. You're gonna wanna put things into the socket of your eye or the crease, as you hear all the time in other YouTube videos for those that do have those really big, beautiful, full lids. So I put it in the crease. So you'll be able to feel that out, the eye socket crease with your finger, right? And with hooded eyes, depending on how hooded they are, mine are they're mild, but they're there. You want to make sure that you kind of show the shadow a little bit above the skin, or above the skin, oh my gosh, above the lid to make it noticeable. And I find it helpful to bring it outward as well. If you follow the natural contours of the eye and it kind of comes down, I find it can also make the eye look like it's drooping or sagging a bit. So you want to be mindful that when you're using a brush or putting on eyeshadow, you're going back and forth, yes, but you also want to kind of drag it out towards the end of your brow bone. So I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to go in on this palette with the color Ochre here at the top. And I'm going to take a really big fluffy brush. Now a lot of you guys ask about brushes. This one's a bit old and dingy looking at the moment, but this is a really round brush. And it's there to use as for transition shades or to blend things out. So when you put this brush into the socket of your eye, it's going to kind of disperse the product, which is nice because you want it to come up above a little bit anyway, not like crazy, but you want it to come up above where your eyelid would normally hide your eyeshadow, right? So I'm going to take a little bit of product on that brush, and I'm going to start on the outer corner because this is where I want most of the product to be when you lay your brush down, is on the outer corner. And I'm going to put it, actually hang on, I got to pick up my mirror. I'm going to put it on the outer corner, and then I'm going to sweep in, back and forth, but I'm kind of bringing it out to the side. Do you guys see that? I don't know if you'll be able to see the pigment because I'm using such a light color. And you just want to go back and forth, and you want to use a really light hand to make sure that your shadows blend properly, okay? I'm gonna go a little bit darker just so you guys can see because this is really light. So again, starting on the outer corner, I'm kind of fluffing it by the brow bone-ish area, and then I'm gonna push it back in that windshield wiper motion. So you can see on my lid, like the brush is up a little bit higher than where my socket is. Can you guys see that? So I'm brushing it back and forth, okay? So this way, when I look up, if you guys, I don't know if you guys will be able to see it, but you can see a little trace of subtle color up here, right? And that's just to give my eye a little bit more depth, is to show, yes, I am wearing an eyeshadow, right? You just want to make sure you're not going too heavy in the color because it can make your eye look like it's sagging. Okay, so this just gives a little bit of natural definition to my eye, and then because this is coming outward, it makes my eye open up just a little bit too if you compare one to the other. Okay, next up, I am using a smaller tapered blending brush. So this is the next one that I am going to use. Now, apologies because it's obviously used. So you can see this one is thin, or it's not quite as thick as the other one. So if I compare, whoops, if I compare both of them, you'll see that although they're both fluffy, this one's a little bit more tapered, like it looks like it's been squished in a little bit more. Do you know what I mean? And that's kind of a general rule you want to do with your brushes. You want to make sure they get smaller and smaller and smaller as you work in the eye to get that really nice gradient effect and to make sure that you get that nice blend for all of your shadows. So what I'm going to do from there, and this is as simple as my eye makeup's been, guys, is I'm going to take the Buen Fresco, am I saying that right? This like kind of mauve cooler color shadow, because this is going to be treated to make the look of a little bit more of a shadow on my crease or my socket, right? So I'm going to take that color and do the exact same thing, but this covers less surface area on the eye. So again, it'll help create a little bit more of that gradient. So I'm going to start on the outer corner and the socket, and that's where I want most of the product to go down. And then I'm going to just sweep it inward in my eye socket and then move back and forth. So hopefully that makes sense, or you can see what I'm doing. And again, just light-handed and sweeping it out towards the end of my eye so you can see that definition there. And it's all just about blending. So take your time. You can see already that's kind of lifted the eye and given it a little bit more definition, right? So if you guys don't have a hooded eye, just put it into your crease. For those of you that have a hooded eye, get that baby in that crease there. And that's all you want to do. Now, since this is a day look, that's honestly all I'm going to do up top today. Oh, actually, sorry, no, that's a lie. Okay, I'll come back to it in a second. All right, so what I'm going to do from there is go back into the palette, and I'm going to take the color Raw Sienna here on the bottom left, and I'm just taking a small pencil brush, which looks like this. This is a really, really teeny tiny pencil brush, but it looks like that. You can see the product on there. And all I'm going to do is sweep this under my lash line just for a little bit of color. As I've said to you guys before, I always feel like leaving the under eye area bare, to me, ends up looking a little bit unfinished. So I just like to trace the underside of my eye. I never go too heavy under my eye because, again, since I have hooded eyes, if I go too heavy, it can also make my eye look like it's sagging a little bit more. So I'm a little cautious with that. Okay, now once that's on, all I'm going to add to the eye, just using my finger, I'm going to take the ring finger again, is I'm going to press it into Vermeer here, which is like this, do I want to do that? Yeah. It's kind of like a light pink shade. I'm going to put that on there, and then all I'm going to do is lightly press that onto my lid, just for a little something, you know? Doesn't have to be crazy, it's just a little bit of color. And I don't bring it all the way to the outside because you want to be careful with maturing skin not to get too much of the sheen, shadows, or like glitter and stuff like that into like the area where you might have laugh lines or anything like that, only because the sparkles and light and things like that will draw more attention to it, which is not a bad thing. It's not that aging's bad. You just want to make sure that your makeup obviously flatters your skin. Okay, now from there, I'm going to use my lash primer by L'Oreal that you guys know I'm obsessed with. And then I'm going to go in with a mascara. This is the L'Oreal Voluminous, although I will say I recently tried the CoverGirl Exhibitionist mascara that just came out. It's phenomenal. Really, really good. The only reason I'm not using that currently is because I want to finish up this mascara tube first, even though I did crack the CoverGirl one open to try it. But I'm going to finish this and then move on to the CoverGirl. But wow, guys, that's a really good one if you want something different and new to try. It was a really, really beautiful mascara. So now that mascara is on, I like to always check over my face and see if there's anything I want to add, especially because I haven't set any of the other makeup. So I think I am going to darken some of the blush just because, I mean, it's a nice blush, but I think I could use with just a little bit more like color. So I'm just going to add a teeny bit. It looks a little bit better. I like a flush of color. I know some people don't like blush, but it's up my alley. I quite enjoy it. I just needed a little bit of something because I am so fair. I need that flush of color on the face. My face actually feels fine. Like everything's dried down really well. I'm actually not going to set my face with powder, but again, I have dry skin, so my skin absorbs the moisture of that quite quickly, so I don't feel like I have the need to set it. If you have oily skin, I highly recommend setting with powder just to make sure your makeup stays in place. So I'm going to set this with the Skindinavia Makeup Finishing Setting Spray. Normally they come in a larger bottle like this. This is their primer, and even one that's even bigger, but I ran out, so I'm using one of my travel sizes because I ordered more and it just hasn't come in yet. So So I've got that, and then I'm just gonna put on a little bit of lipstick. I'm gonna, actually not even lipstick, I'm just gonna put gloss on today. Just nice, easy makeup. So I'm gonna be using the NYX, this is their Butter Gloss, and this is in the color Creme Brulee. I know this is one of their older makeup, or sorry, older colors, like it's been around for a while. It's easy day makeup, nothing too crazy. And actually that foundation dried down really nicely, so I don't need to change it just yet. It might have just been because it started that way. But I'm even close. Maybe like a little discrepancy in the foundation color. So I might be ready to move on to W1 quite soon. Yeah. So anyway, guys, that's it for the makeup. But you'll see, like, it's not sitting on the skin funny. It's natural looking. It's a little bit more dewy. Because I don't have like a lot of powder product on my face other than like here and basically what's on my eye. I just find it looks a little bit more like a second skin. This is obviously just my opinion. But yeah, I really like how my makeup's been lately. Like, I prefer the look of it. So I wanted to share it with you guys in case any of you are finding that you're getting like crow's feet or lines around here, or that you don't like how the product's like setting in this area. Then I highly recommend like giving, or highly suggest that you give these a try. They've worked really well for me. Obviously makeup works differently for each person, but I really enjoy this. So anyway, guys, I love you. I know this is a shorter Vlogmas for today, but like I said, I just didn't want to leave you empty-handed since I skipped yesterday just due to fatigue, because I really honestly spent most of my day just on the couch lounging because I was so tired. So yeah, it wasn't a very exciting Vlogmas day. But anyway, I will keep you guys posted about the house sitch. I don't know that it'll work out just based on the price discrepancy, but obviously with Vlogmas I will let you know about everything. But other than that, my angels, I love you to the moon and back, and I'll see you on tomorrow's Vlogmas. Mwah. Bye.